All right. What is up, everybody? We had a little technical difficulty, but we've made it and we are here for our very first YouTube Live and excited to be here. Appreciate you watching and appreciate you joining us. If you would, just let us know where you are in the country. Are you here in the Raleigh area? Are you somewhere else? That really helps us understand what we need to talk about. And if you have ideas for the channel that maybe you would love to hear us do a video on, let us know. We would love to make sure that we're serving the content that you want to know about here in the Triangle area. So I'm excited today. We're going to cover a few different topics, but the first one that I kind of want to dive into that's a popular topic and kind of at the top of everyone's mind right now is rates and what's going to go on with mortgage rates as we move through the remaining of the year and into the first quarter of 2025. It's hard to believe, but that's just a little over a few months away as we enter today, August 1st. It's just wild to believe that we're here in the last part of the year. So anyways, we'll dive into rates. There was some news yesterday that's really going to drive what's going to happen here over the next few months. And then obviously we've got an election in November, and that might have some impact on rates. So let's go ahead and dive into some of the things that I wanted to share and make sure that we cover today. And if you have any questions as we go through this, feel free to pop into it. So give me 1 second here so I can share my screen. All right, let me jump over to it. All right, so first thing here is rates drop to another long-term low after the Fed announcement. So this came out yesterday. This came out at 5:11 yesterday afternoon. This was in regards to Fed Chair Jerome Powell, who made a statement yesterday. And I actually listened to his press conference for about 30 minutes. And man, does he get asked some tough questions. But the basic questions were around like, why aren't you cutting rates yet? Are you going to plan to cut rates in September? And he even had a slip up at the end of the press conference where he was basically said, yeah, we're pretty much guaranteed a rate cut in September. Although he's not supposed to say that. It's supposed to be very kind of vague. His answers, I mean, are supposed to be vague as to whether or not that's actually going to happen or not. But anyways, it was really interesting to kind of listen to that and what he kind of had to say. But yeah, with the rates dropping to another long-term low yesterday, they're not going to cut their rate, so the Fed fund rates, until September most likely. But the Fed fund rates doesn't necessarily impact mortgage rates directly. Yeah, it has some impact, but the bigger impact is actually from the 10-year Treasury. And I'm not going to bore you with the details, but I want to jump over here so that you can see the important news that happened today and that was impacted by that. And what that is rates dropped almost a tenth of a percentage of a point today, dropping to 6.62%. So that's the absolute lowest that we've seen in 2024. We have not seen rates this low at all this year. So it'll be interesting to watch to see what kind of impact that has on the housing market. Now, I think I would be remiss to say that there was some things that happened today that also impacted this. There were some misses on jobs reports. And what I mean by that is jobs came in low today. There's another big job report tomorrow. So there is some concern out there that maybe the economy is not doing as well as it appears that it is, and maybe it's on the brink of breaking a little bit. There's definitely some fear of that amongst a lot of people right now and some concern about that. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes over the next few months and whether or not there is really something that could be breaking, or if we're just, in for what they've been calling the soft landing. That's what the Fed's been saying the whole time they've been cutting rates, is we're in for a soft landing. So it'll be interesting to see what that does there. So that's where rates are kind of moving. The big question is, what kind of impact does that have on the market? So in the first quarter of this year, when rates did come down ever so slightly to 6.75 and just above the 6.62 mark, we saw a really hot market. We saw a market come out that was just all over the place. It seemed like we were going to walk into a 2021, 2022 market, and that has definitely changed over the last 4 or 5 months. We've definitely seen a drastic shift from that where we're not seeing as many multiple offer situations. But what we have really seen in this market is pockets. And so, as we kind of move away from rates and move more towards talking about the market, I want to dive into a couple different stats that I pulled in preparation for this as we get ready for that. But again, kind of what I was hinting at, pockets, right? So what I mean by that is if you live in downtown Cary, which is obviously one of the most popular places in the Triangle area to live, you're going to be just fine, honestly, no matter what interest rates are, no matter where buyer demand is. It doesn't really matter for you, quite frankly. Mortgage rates have no impact on everyone who wants to live in downtown Cary. And the fact that there's very little supply in downtown Cary, it is almost impossible to find a home for sale within walking distance to the park. And when we meet with folks all across the country who are moving to the area, one of the first things they say is, I would love to live in downtown Cary, walking distance to the park. And that's really hard to find. So those folks are always going to be okay because that's location specific. But maybe you live more in a suburb of the Triangle, and you live in a neighborhood where there's 10, 15, 20 homes of your exact square footage for sale. Well, the fact is right now those homes are more than likely going to sit on the market for a little bit longer than they were 2 years ago. And we could see 60, 90, 120 days on market. We could see some price reductions. And we're seeing that in the data. So it is kind of interesting to see that play out because I think oftentimes the media and people who are talking about the real estate market will look at it as just one general thing and make general headlines. And real estate is like the most hyper local thing in the entire world. The downtown Cary market is much different than the market in Wendell Falls. And so you got to make sure you're adjusting for that as you kind of think about each independent market. But that being said, let's dive into some of the data that we've seen this year and some important facts and some thoughts as we kind of head into the latter half of the year here. So I've pulled up this graph. This is from InfoSparks. They work with our MLS system. So this is all coming from our MLS. And so this is going to reflect a lot of different data here. But I think one of the more interesting things to see here, so we're going back a year. In July of 2024, we saw 3,865 new listings in our MLS, which was up almost 6% year over year from July of 2023. But look what we saw in May. We saw 4,921 new listings, and we're already down 1,100 listings 2 months later. And I think that's going to continue to happen throughout the remainder of the year. We're going to continue to see that drop. I mean, look where we were in December of 2023, 2,000 listings that came on the market. So, as you can see, and this has been the case for like literally forever in our market, we have a rise in listings as we kind of get through May. Usually June or June will be the peak. And then throughout the year, we'll start to dive back down. This was a little bit of an anomaly. And then you can see August in 2023, and then all the way down to 2,000 new listings in December of 2023. And then base that coming back up, we see these 4,900 listings in May of 2024, and we're already taking a nosedive back down here in July of 2024. And the fact that this is a presidential election year, I think means that this is going to continue. And in fact, we could be even lower than the 2,000 new listings that we saw in December of 2023. We can also break this down on new construction versus resale. So resale, there's new construction, there's 1,100, almost 1,200 new listings. And resale, there's 2,800 new listings. So a big difference there in the markets. All right, so the other thing I think is important to look at, move this over a little bit. Months of supply. Now, this is for our entire MLS system, right? So right now across the entire Triangle MLS, there's about 2.5 months of supply. 2.5 months of supply is still well below what we would call a equal market, right? We're still in a seller's market. But again, it comes back to the pockets. If you're in a neighborhood where there's 6 months of supply, you're going to have a much different time selling your home than someone who lives in a neighborhood where there's literally zero supply. Their home is the only home on the market at that time. So you can see July, we are already up about 14% year over year. But look at this. I mean, we're down here in January at 2 months supply. And so we've grown over the course of the year, but I think we're going to start that dive back down. And you can see that again here in the data that happened last year as well. All right, let's check out. Let me move this a little bit more. Sales price. All right. So our sales price throughout the first part of this year, throughout the first 7 months here in our MLS, is down about almost 4% to 400,000. But let's break this down. New construction is 384, which is down 8% year over year, which is really interesting across our MLS. And then resale is down barely. I mean, it's about a break even year over year compared to last year. So it's interesting that the new construction market has seen their prices come down more so than the resale market has. Again, overall, both of those combined, resale and new construction, were down about 4%, but new construction is carrying the burden there at about down 8%, and the resale market remaining relatively flat, which again is interesting to see. One of the things that I thought we could talk about too that's important to note is what the builders are doing to kind of work to sell their inventory. So as you kind of look across listings in the Triangle area, you'll notice that oftentimes new construction builders are offering all sorts of incentives to folks, which means home builders are in the business of selling homes. They are not in the business of holding on to homes. Their business model is let's build homes, let's sell them. That's how we make money and we keep the machine running, right? And so they literally have to sell their inventory to keep that machine running. So I thought this was interesting. I pulled up the popular neighborhoods that we talk about pretty often. It's called Wendell Falls. It's in the Wendell area. We actually just did a video about Wendell last week. There's a lot of people thinking about moving to Wendell. There's a lot of development activity happening in Wendell. So it's a popular place. But Wendell Falls is by far the most popular neighborhood in the Wendell area. And so I put up their website and I just thought this was really interesting. So these are all the builders that are in there right now. They've got Brookfield, David Weekley, Garmin Homes, Homes by Dickerson, and McNeil Burbank. So let's just go through a couple of these. Brookfield is offering 10,000 towards design options, 5,000 towards closing costs, and rates as low as 5.875. We just saw market rates today are a 6.6. So they're almost a full percentage point lower than the market, right? Another one, Garmin Homes is offering $5,000 in or $10,000 in closing costs on select pre-sales, $5,000 in closing costs on all other opportunities. Homes by Dickerson is offering $30,000 as a use as you choose incentive, as well as a 3-2-1 buy down on single family inventory homes. Pre-sale single family homes receive up to $20,000 use as you choose. So again, they are literally throwing money at people. But what they're not doing is they're not lowering the sales price. They're giving this money to people on the back end. Thus, they're able to keep their comps in the neighborhood higher, but they're able to also buy people's rates down because we all know that the biggest problem in the marketplace right now for buyers is that prices are high, but so are rates. And so, what can builders do to help with that? Well, they're not going to lower their price, but what they can do is pay money to buy the buyer's rates down, which thus makes the buyer's payments on a monthly basis more affordable. And quite frankly, most people don't really care about what the actual sales price is. Most people care about what is their monthly payment going to be. And so the builders are doing that to really drive sales. And we've definitely seen an increase in new construction sales. So we can go back here to our data here and just look at closed sales. Let me just pull that up. Closed sales for our MLS is down about 7.5% for resale, but new construction down 7%. And so they are really having to find ways to get creative to go move that inventory that they have on the ground. I just want to show you one other builder that I saw that was offering some incentives. Again, you could pull up any builder in the Triangle area, and the majority of them are offering some kind of financial incentive. But this one is, let's see, it's coming up. Some slow. McKee Homes, which is a little bit more of a national builder. But look at this. So they're in the Triangle, Wilmington, Fayetteville, and Pinehurst areas. They're having an inventory clearance sale. So they're offering rates as low as 4.99%. And if you close before September 30th, you also get a free refrigerator, washer, dryer, and blinds for your home. So again, I mean, we just saw they're almost a 1.5 below market rate today. It's just really impressive that they're offering this to try to move this inventory that they have. They've got, looking at the Triangle area, they've got inventory a little bit all over the place, Sanford, Clayton. But again, I mean, that makes a big difference. There's a price cut on property in Fuquay, in the Fuquay area. Plus, you get the rate opportunity. So again, these builders are in the business of moving that inventory, and these are the things that they have to do to be able to do that. Let me grab some water real quick. All right, a few other things just to hit on as far as the market right now. Let me pull up a report here. This is from our MLS and just a little more data here. Let's see, let me get down here. I just thought this was interesting. This is kind of a graph of all the cities here in Wake County. And you can kind of see the total assessed value of each town. So this really gives you an indication of like where prices are for each town around the Wake County area. Cary obviously coming in at the highest at 656, which is not surprising by any means. Wake Forest coming in at almost 480. Holly Springs coming in at 573. So prices holding steady. I will say that. So these are the assessed values from Wake County tax records, and Wake County tax bills just came out, and they're in the mail. People are going to start getting them in the mail. They're going to start seeing them. We got ours in the mail, and so Wake County does their reassessments every 4 years. This year is a new reassessment. The average assessment in Wake County is up 53% from the last one. So a lot of people are going to be in shock when they open up that tax bill and realize what they're going to have to be paying in taxes right now. And that's going to shift a lot of people's payments. If you have a mortgage, it's likely that you escrow that, so you're paying your tax bill spread across 12 months. But if you're talking about a $300 or $400 increase in your tax bill, that's a really big deal for a lot of folks. And so I do think that'll have some impact. And I wonder, and I'm not sure, but I wonder if we might start to see some inventory come to the marketplace where maybe people are affected by that tax bill increase. Maybe it affects them too much and they're just looking to maybe get out of it and move to a lower cost area than here in the Triangle area. Let's see. Let me slide down. Make sure we hit everything we want to talk about. This was the only other thing I thought was interesting in this report. Where did it go? Anyways, it's not pulling up. All right. All right. We'll move on. So let's move on to the next thing that we thought was interesting that folks wanted to talk about. And that is one of the things we talk about in our videos about Morrisville, if you've ever seen them, is that it's like the only town here in the Triangle area that does not have a downtown area. Downtown Cary has this awesome downtown area. Apex has one where people love to go. We even just did our last video on Wendell. Wendell had an awesome downtown, but that's not something that Morrisville really has, and they realize that, and so they've formulated a plan to really start to work on that. So this is coming directly from the Morrisville Town Council and the Morrisville Town page. This is a plan they've been working on since 2007, and like we've seen with downtown Cary's Park, these kind of innovations really take a lot of time to think about and get the land together and put the thoughts together, get the funding in place. But just like with the downtown Cary Park, it was so worth it. It was so worth the wait. And so I think people are really excited to see Morrisville do this and bring this to their town. It's a much needed opportunity for them. I think a lot of people who live in the Morrisville area will drive into Cary to visit their downtown. And now they're going to have the ability to do that on their own in Morrisville. So there's a lot going on here. There's a few different phases for them, but it's going to be spread across 25 acres, mixed use. They've hired this developer, Seeing Development, to work with them to develop the project. And here's phase one. So phase one is going to be on 11 acres. It includes multifamily, some townhome residential, commercial, and retail space, including cottage retail, and a 4-acre town green that will host community events and concerts and provide connectivity to the town's greenway system. So really, really cool. I love this idea. I don't know if this will pop up, but I love this idea of the cottage kind of retail. Kind of looking at this plan, you can see the big lawn there, and then all these little cottages kind of spread across where people can go, and there will be stores and restaurants there. I think that's a really neat thing to kind of do that around the lawn where they're going to have events. I think that's a really neat opportunity for them, and really well thought out plan. So there's a couple other updates. They worked through a lot of this, and they've got their timeline here. They're working towards, they actually have a meeting here in August to develop for town council to approve and sign the development agreement with Seeing Development. And then they'll start getting permits. And then in the winter of 2025, they'll start construction on the project. And then hopefully by 2027, have it complete. So literally a 20-year project that they've been working on and thinking about, just like the downtown Cary project that took 20 years to really work and develop. So let me pull this up here in regards to the project as well. Wrong one. Here are some more renderings. Looks awesome. Looks really cool. But the estimated cost for the entire town center are around $105 million. And the town's responsible for about $20 million of that, while the developer is responsible for about $85 million. We've talked about this kind of first phase here. One of the interesting things too is a lot of people oftentimes with this will say, oh, how are they going to raise the money? Are my taxes going to go up? And they've already had, there will be no additional increase beyond what they already voted on in 2021. And that was the people of Morrisville, the citizens of Morrisville, who voted for that bond to be put into place. Then, like I said earlier, they're going to sign that agreement with Seeing Development on August 27th. But this phase includes the 220 residential units and then the park as well. So very cool project coming. All right. Moving on to another very cool project here in the Triangle area is the PNC Arena redesign. Excited to see this. This literally just came out today. So excited to see that this is out. And let me pull my screen back up here. excited to see that this is out now. So the Hurricanes were bought by a gentleman named Tom Dundon a few years ago. He has worked really hard to kind of build up the recognition of the Hurricanes, build up the development around the area, and he is really working to turn PNC Arena into a place where people want to go, not just for events there at the arena, but also around the arena. And so he's gotten approval just recently to work on a development that is going to develop some of the 80 acres around the park, around PNC Arena, but they're also going to be revamping PNC Arena. And I got to be honest, I think it needs it desperately. I was actually just there this weekend, took my boys to Monster Jam at PNC Arena. It was a lot of fun. But I've been fortunate enough, like earlier this year, I was in Boston and went to the Boston Garden. And I mean, it was an incredible place. Like you could go grab dinner at the Garden beforehand, hang out there. You could watch the game. We watched the Celtics game, and then you could hang out afterwards. And it was just a really cool place to be able to do that. And you really can't do that at PNC Arena. I mean, if you've never been to PNC Arena, right now you pretty much just pull up, park, go to the event, get back in your car, and drive home. And that's all there is to do. And so they're really working to fix that. So it's exciting to see. But these are some of the first images that were released just today of what the new arena could look like. And so this view, if you are familiar with it, this view is kind of, if Carter Finley Stadium, which is NC State's football stadium, is over here to the left, this is going to be the entrance there to the right. This is kind of the main entrance to the arena. This is where people usually come in. And they go on to say that they're going to grow the lobby from 5,000 square feet to 10,000 square feet, the VIP area from 1,500 square feet to 5,500 feet. They're going to add a beer garden to the west beside the main arena with an outdoor patio. That sounds awesome. A cutting edge experience for everyone. I don't know what that really means, but looks cool. Sounds good. And here's another image of some of the revamping there. And then they talk about this sections 317, 318, and 319. So that's like the top of PNC Arena. And they're going to basically take that entire section out and put a beer garden in, or basically like a sports bar where people can go up there and watch the game from that view. Instead of having seats up there, it'll just be a bar and then people can hang out and watch, which honestly is a really good idea. If you go to a Hurricanes game, that's maybe not like a crazy weekend game against the Boston Bruins or something, there's not many folks sitting in that seats. And so this probably will get more people in there. And then I hope the other thing too is like, I will say going to a Canes game is not the cheapest activity to do here in the Triangle. You're looking at like a minimum $100 a ticket. So maybe these will be a little bit cheaper to get to the kind of bar area of the arena and watch the game from there. Of course, the beers aren't going to be cheap, no doubt, but maybe it'll be a little bit cheaper to get in at least. But really cool. Then one more kind of exterior image. They're talking about bunker suites, which I don't know what that is, but it sounds awesome. Sounds like that would be a lot of fun. And then this talks about kind of the plan that I was just talking about to revamp the kind of area around it. So have the 200,000 square feet of entertainment and retail, 150 room hotel, more than 500 apartments, and then 150,000 square feet of office space. And it's expected to be about a $200 million investment. And Tom Dundon is leading that on his own. His company is leading that. So really exciting to see that. And then kind of with that, he's been in the news a lot lately. But he's also hoping to be able to bring Major League Baseball to the Raleigh area. Now, what I've seen and heard is that Nashville and Charlotte and Austin are definitely up for the opportunity to get a Major League Baseball team. But after reading this article yesterday, I think there's a chance that maybe Raleigh could get it. And I'm curious, what are your thoughts? Would you like to see a Major League Baseball team in Raleigh? I think it could be good and bad, right? Like I love going to the Durham Bulls games. And obviously if we had a major league baseball team here, that would probably take away from the folks who would go to the Durham Bulls game, right? You're going to go to a major league game over a Durham Bulls game more than likely, right? But I think it would be good for the city. Of course, you got to think about where do you put it? How do you fund it? So there's a lot to kind of go into it. But so this article kind of talks about it. The Hurricanes just hired a new CEO, but the article says he's very serious about trying to bring a Major League Baseball team to Raleigh. And of course, they say it's easier said than done. But Rob Manford, who's the commissioner of Major League Baseball, said he hopes to have a plan in place for expansion for MLB prior to 2029. And I thought this was interesting. I had never really thought about this, but there's three teams who are thinking about potentially moving or relocating, and that's the Oakland A's, the Tampa Bay Rays, and the Kansas City Royals. I know the Oakland A's, if they move, will likely end up in Las Vegas. Las Vegas is like desperate to get a team, and the A's owner is desperate to leave Oakland. And then the Rays and Royals. I mean, maybe the Rays make sense. Maybe the Rays would leave Tampa Bay, the St. Pete area, and come here to the Raleigh area. I never thought about that. But of course, there's, like we talked about, other candidates being considered: Austin, Charlotte, Nashville, and Orlando. So it'll be interesting to see if we're able to get that. But he just goes on to say they've got to work really hard with state leaders to go find the land to do it, rezone it. What are neighbors around Major League Baseball stadium going to say? I was looking at some of the comments on the post about the revamping of PNC Arena, and everybody was like, "Yeah, but when are they going to fix the roads around there? When are they going to fix the roads? The traffic's terrible around there." And they're not wrong. I mean, there's still a lot of work to do with that. So it'll be interesting to see um, if Tom Dundon's able to get that done, right? If he actually does get this first part of his A, improvements to the arena, and B, the $100 million development project done, I think he's got a really good chance of working real hard to get a Major League Baseball team here. I would be excited to see it, but I know there's some folks who maybe would not be. So let us know your thoughts. And anyways, we hope you enjoyed our very first YouTube live. I'm sure we'll continue to get better with it. If you have something you want us to talk about next time, let us know. We'll be sure to do it. And we appreciate you watching, and we'll talk to you soon.